Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today I have the opportunity to work on a Quantum reel, probably from the early 2000s. This is the Quantum EX400 4-ball bearing, low-profile bait casting reel. It was sent in by Kevin. Seems to be working okay, just noisy. And I notice as I look through here, lots of dirt and varnished kind of gearing and the like. So we're going to show you how this reel was made, how to take it apart, service it, clean it, and get it back to Kevin for, well, good fishing. So the Quantum reel by itself is a traditional bait caster type of a reel. Kevin tells me he lost a screw on the bridge. We'll try and find that replacement screw for him for that. And, well, we'll get started by taking off the exterior pieces and parts. As we do that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like the art of fishing reel repair and service. If you'd like to learn how to do it yourself, heck, even if you want to go start a new business and kind of have the tutorials here in terms of how to do that, then, well, I welcome you to subscribe. If you do subscribe, use the notification button. That'll let you know when the videos are posted, and I post all kinds of videos. Today it's a freshwater low-profile bait caster. Tomorrow it may be a big trolling reel for offshore, and it may be bass and reels or spin fishing reels or, well, whatever my customers sent in. Essentially, you're looking over my shoulder in my shop as I work on those reels. Well, we took the handle off by removing the handle cap nut, pulled the handle off. There was a little shim washer that sat on top of the star adjuster, and then there's a series of small washers that are not flat. They have a bevel to them. There's two of those. I'm going to put them right in the cap to let me know that's where they go. There's a ball bearing and a side plate after that. Well, I started with this side. Normally you would take this off by finding the clip and turning it, but this one I believe is screwed on. I'm looking at the 3 screws that appear to be thumb screws and go through. So I'm thinking that this side plate is probably screwed on by all 3 of these. So I'll go ahead and remove those. This is going to give us access to the spool. This should come off now. Yep, that comes off. There's a mag brake in here. We'll be able to remove the spool. You need to look under the spool when you remove it, because sometimes manufacturers will put screws for the case inside there. So make sure you look at it. And when you remove that spool, it's going to be okay too, because now you'll be able to clean up the inside as well. Well, we took those 3 screws out. The only thing that should be holding this side plate on now, just taking a quick look, is that other bridge screw. When I take that out, at some point I'm going to have to go take a look and see if I can find a screw that matches up to this, because, well, it's missing, and you don't want it missing for very long. So that's the screw that apparently fell out of the other side. And with that screw out, now we should be able to pull this whole assembly right out, which we were. This assembly has an instant anti-reverse in it, and it looks like not only this bearing, which was on the other side of the case, but it also looks like there's a bearing on this bottom side here for the spool. So I'm going to put some oil on those bearings. You do not oil that instant anti-reverse clutch, and, well, we can take a moment here, use a little scrubby pad with some rod and reel cleaner on there. I just finished another reel, and we can use that to kind of tighten, clean this up. We'll just set this off to the side for a moment. I keep a good roll of paper towels near me. I like to use the paper towels versus the rags, because the paper towels don't transfer from one project to another, and therefore you don't have to worry about spreading dirt and grease and grime and the like. There's nothing going on this spool. The spool has got a hard shaft to it. There is a ball bearing on this side, as you saw on the spool side here. There's also a ball bearing on the other side of the case, and I think this said that this was a 4-ball bearing reel, so I think we probably found out where they belong. While you have that out, go ahead and use that little kitchen scrubby with the cleaner on it to just take some of that debris off. And then I take my pieces and parts and I put those into a parts tray. I use a parts tray so that I know where the pieces are when it's time to reassemble. This is the basic setup for the reel. Looks like there's just a little bit of some dirt over here that's kind of probably old greases. And well, you want to stop for a moment, take a picture here, and use whatever you want to use as your image capture device. Use a camera, use your phone, use your old Polaroid, whatever you want to use. That way, when you go to reinstall, if you've forgotten how these pieces and parts go, it's easy enough to go back and reference your pictures as the starting point. Well, we're going to remove the pieces here. You can see here's the bearing for the back side of this. A little bit of oil on that doesn't hurt. You can poke that out if you want. These are plastic gears. You do nothing with the plastic gears. I'm just going to use a little bit of penetrating oil here to clean up that shellacked or varnished old grease on here. I'll use that in a Q-tip. That'll take care of this. If your inside of your case was all muddied up with old greases, of course you want to take the time to clean all of that. In this case, it's well, it's all in good condition here. If anything, it's just dried. I do want to address the shellac or the browned grease on that worm gear. So we're going to start a pawl service before we go much further. I'm going to remove the cap from the pawl. The cap itself has got a little bit of grease on it, so we'll use that paper towel there to shine that back up. And normally I should and would and could and will, I guess, put those gears into the tray because, well, leaving them on the table, you tend to knock them about and then you wind up in trouble. All right, I'm going to try and remove that pawl now. Sometimes you can just simply tap and you'll work the pawl down. It's working down. I can tap that a couple more times. It'll probably fall out, or I can just use pliers to pull that off. And one of the things I'm noticing is that the grease has dried around there, so that pawl is probably not working as efficient as it should. I'm just going to roll that on that paper towel to get the old grease off the cylinder. Make sure that the shoulders on the pawl, that's the flat spot here where those 2 points right out of, does not have any grease on it. And then check both sides of the pawl to make sure they're even and the points are uniform. All right, now I'm going to grab a little bit of penetrating oil, spray down that worm assembly. The penetrating oil should help to dissolve that grease. I'm going to use my paper towel. I'm going to hold that firm to that gear. I'm going to turn it. And turning it should help the paper towel to get the grease off that worm drive. And you can see the difference just looking there. We'll slide the carrier over to the other side. We'll do this side. And that stuff, if that gums up, well, as you can imagine, it's going to slow the travel of the pawl. A little bit more section over here. And we're in good condition. Okay, I'm going to fly that back to the other side because, well, it's easier for me to work it on from the right-hand side. I'm going to reinstall the pawl here. That's not set in all the way. I noticed that. You got to make sure that the teeth of the pawl lie into the groove. So just take a moment, turn your gear, and eventually that will pull it down when those points align. Once you do that, let's take the cap and put that back on. If you try to tighten this cap down without the pawl properly set, your reel will not advance. The line guide will not work properly. All right, I'm going to use a rod and reel cleaner in that scrubby pad. The reel cleaner I'm using is a Penn Precision rod and reel cleaner. Just a little squirt on there. And I'm going to just clean up the inside of this case while it's open, and it's easy enough to do. There's no sense not doing the cosmetics on the reel if you're spending all the time. I am noticing this is Zebco when it was Zebco Quantum, and still is, and it's made in Korea. So that gives you a hint in terms of the timing. Okay, for those of you that may have taken this apart, let's just take that apart to show you what's here. This is your trip mechanism, your swing arm. This is the ratchet. It's a rectangular piece, so make sure that it sits on the rectangle on the base. There's a little washer underneath that. And then on this side we have two studs that are facing up. That's going to correspond with the two holes in the main gear. I'll leave that out for a moment. Let's go over and check the main gear. This one's totally devoid of grease, so it's time to re-lubricate this. If you saw any grease in those tracks, go ahead and get a hard brush, whether it's a metal one or a bristle one. Just pull through and make sure that all of that old grease gets out of there. Again, there's no grease in this one, so well, that's pretty much easy there. Take your drive ratchet and attach it to the back of the main gear. You do that by sitting the two holes in there and aligning that. And sometimes it'll fall off. If it does, you just get it when you put it back on the gear post. And then a good amount of fishing reel grease. And please only use fishing reel grease. Don't use general household products or automotive greases and the like. It's not designed for marine usage, and over time it will be less effective. Once that's done, put that back in. Hold those two pieces of that gear so that it does line up with the holes in the stud. This is a hard washer. It's probably non-permeable. You don't need to do anything with that. Just make sure it's clean and smooth. Put that back in. And then we have the cap washer. That cap washer has a bell in it, and the bell raises up, so that goes on the top side of that. We may have to take that off for a moment because sometimes this pinion gear does not slide behind it. If it does, we'll do the same thing. Make sure that your carrier or yoke is clean. Look for the ramps. They go to the back. Look for the solid center. That goes to the back as well, or facing the spool. I'm using the word back. Facing the spool. Let's go ahead and use the grease. Well, if you have a question on this reel or any reel in particular, maybe you're working on one and you're a little bit stuck, or just want to know a little bit more about those reels, if you leave those questions in the comment section, I do try to answer them for you. Trying to get this down now. I think I probably have to pull that gear back, pull this down. And before you go any further here, now turn the whole assembly. Make sure that your line guide is turning, your pinion gear is turning, your main gear is turning. Well, we can continue with the reassembly. I'm going to take the two springs now, put those on the posts. Be careful with those springs. They are springs, they tend to shoot. And if they shoot, well, sometimes they get in a little bit of trouble. A little bit of oil around where the swing arm ports are. We can set this side up. This is probably a good time to go search for a screw that can act as a substitute there. So I'm going to turn the camera off for a moment, see if I can find another side plate screw, and then we can continue. I think I got lucky. I keep a container of springs and screws and the like from reels that, well, are here to give other reels a second chance. And I think I've matched it up. The head doesn't correspond, but the threads are the same. All right, let's put our assembly back on. Aim for your holes in the long screws. And work those through. You got to watch those springs underneath. That's critical to getting this set properly. There we go. Get that down, and then this is the screw that came with the reel, so let's put that where it came from. And I think, you know what, nobody other than anybody watching this video here will probably even know that the the screws are different. Put that shield back in here for that anti-reverse. And this is the one that I found, which is very similar, but just a little bit different. I guess that's the difference between similar and same, right? All right, let's grab that, put that in. Okay, we can move on to the building up of the outside. Well, they don't look too much different. The ones that got a little bit more of a raised head. All right, the bearing goes on next. We've oiled it, but we can oil it again. It's not going to suffer from over-oiling. Inside our adjuster, we left one of those two bent washers, or bevel washers, or belt washers. They have an upside and a down. I like to face the curving side up on the first one and down on the second one. They control the tension adjustment on the star adjuster. The star adjuster can come on next. And now we can turn our attention to the spool. A little bit of grease on one side and the other. That'll go inside the bearings. We can insert that. I'm sure Kevin will change the line on this when he gets it back. Folks ask me, do you need to take the line off after each service? And I kind of suggest that you do. Because one of the things that I kind of promote is monofilament is cheap. And why lose the fish of a lifetime to the old line, which will snap. Okay, you don't do anything with the magnets. Oil the bearing. Let's line the case up. And remember, most of the time these cases, you would have a snap, but you don't have that here. What we do have is a little pilot that will center the side plate. And then these three screws get tightened down to hold that case on. Now all we have to do is put the handle on, give it a test, and give it back to Kevin. So 4 ball bearings and they're all in the right place. That's always nice to see. Sometimes you get these reels that have multiple 9, 10, 11 ball bearings and they're all in places that don't have anything to do with the reel mechanics. But in this case they do. Tension washer goes underneath the handle. Handle is next. Handle nut goes. It's a 10mm handle nut. You can use a regular box wrench, or you can use a ratchet, whatever works for you. If you align the flat part of the nut so that be perpendicular with the hole in the handle, you generally can get this to sit right and line up for that tie-down nut. If it doesn't work like that, take the cup off and take a look without the screw, see how it does. Okay. Here's your Quantum EX400 4-ball bearing reel. Well, it's a lot quieter, no question about that. Make sure that you can cast. You can. You got a mag brake on this. It's always recommended, well, right where Kevin has it, it's always recommended. You start right in the middle. Do a 4 or a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10, and then adjust accordingly as you need. You also have the spool adjuster on this side. This one's tightened down a lot, but it will also control the speed of the spool and the anti-backlash. So there you go. That's how you service a, well, an early 2000s Quantum EX400 4-ball bearing reel. I hope you've enjoyed that. A little bit of oil onto the handle studs here, just to help those along. And while I'm doing that, I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel for everything it is that they do. I appreciate your day in and day out service. To everyone, please take the time to service your reels. They'll last you a lifetime if you do. And, well, you'll never be disappointed that you lost the fish because, well, the reel didn't work as it should. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.